Here we are reading Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Gonna love this story.
I'm not ready.
Come on down when you're ready, Maddie.
Okay.
Once upon a time, there was a reindeer. His name was Rudolph, who lived at the North Pole in Toyland. Rudolph was younger than all the other reindeer, and he had very short antlers, not very big and tall antlers like all of the other reindeer. Worst of all, Rudolph had a nose that was so big and so bright that it glowed in the dark. Well, all the other reindeer in Toyland played games and had fun, and they used to make fun of Rudolph and calling him names. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. They weren't nice to poor Rudolph. Sometimes they'd say, red nose, funny, funny side, big as an apple and twice as bright. They kicked up snowballs and hit poor Rudolph. They loved to play all kinds of games. They'd play hide and seek, and Rudolph could never play because his nose shined bright and gave him away. Come here, Maddie. Come and sit on my knee. Well, before Christmas Eve, Santa posted a sign and said, Santa's going to choose reindeer to fly the sleigh on Christmas Eve. So be ready at lineup at 8 o'clock in the meadow. He's coming to deliver presents to every boy and girl in the world, and he's reindeer. So the reindeer were excited. They pranced around and were so happy. Each reindeer hoped they'd be chosen to help guide Santa's sleigh.
Nice.
Rudolph sighed. He was ashamed. He didn't want Santa to see his bright red nose, so he decided to hide. I'm not gonna try out for this sleigh. At 8 o'clock, when all the other reindeer lined up, Rudolph hid behind the bushes. He wasn't gonna let Santa see him. In the meadow, all the other reindeer in Toyland except Rudolph stood in line. Santa helped pick them. He chose them all, one for the fastest, and the ones that were the best would do. I think Dasher will be fine. He's the biggest reindeer, said Santa. Dasher wrote an elf in his book, and Dancer's the strongest. Dancer wrote the elf. Ho, 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 let me see, continued Santa. Here's Prancer and Vixen. They make the smoothest landings on the rooftops. Cupid's the fastest. I'll pick them, said Santa. Comets and last, said Santa, I'll choose Donner and Blitzen. They're the best at twisting over the treetops. The reindeer team was so very happy. They rubbed noses and danced. Even the reindeers who weren't chosen were given jobs like testing out the racetracks and cuddling with cute kittens. The only reindeer that didn't get a job was Rudolph. Poor Rudolph.
Yeah, poor.
He wanted a job, but he thought he would be laughed at. So he stayed hidden behind the holly hedge. At last it was Christmas Eve, and Santa's elves were busy packing the sleigh. I don't care if they do make fun of me, said Rudolph. I'm going to ask Santa for a job. So he said to Santa, is there something I can do, Santa? The night was bitter cold. Ooh, and there was a bad storm. And Santa's elves kept bumping into each other because they couldn't see. To make matters worse, Dasher and Dancer were fighting over who was to be the lead reindeer. I was chosen first. No, I was chosen first. Even Santa was cross. We'll never get there if you two don't stop arguing, Santa said. And where's my Christmas list? Dash it all, I can't see anything in this weather. Just then, a soft glow lit up the list. Thank goodness, says Santa, suddenly happy again. I found my list. Ho, 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 I must have tucked it in my belt. Who brought this fine lantern now, Santa? I must take it with me. It's not a lantern, said Rudolph. The light comes from my nose. Look at all those names on the list of all the good boys and girls. Is your name on there? You betcha. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, said Santa. I'm certainly glad to see you. You will guide my sleigh tonight. I appoint you head of my team and #1 reindeer in all the world. Rudolph held his head so high, he was so proud. All the other reindeer bowed to Rudolph. Donner and Dancer helped Rudolph put on his harnesses, and Cupid gave him a beautiful sprig of holly berries. And then, down, down, down through the dark clouds, over the sleeping houses, Santa and his team flew on that foggy Christmas Eve. And leading the whole procession was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So, if you see a glow in the night sky on Christmas Eve, you can be sure Rudolph, the most famous reindeer of all, is very near. The end. You want to sing the song?
Yeah.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glowed. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, you'll go down in history. Love you. Mwah.